The S&B cold air intake that we have here today would be a great choice for the 2018 through 2023 3.5 liter EcoBoost Raptor owners looking for what I would call one of the nicer sealed enclosure options available at a very attractive price point. Now the S&B will feature a durable ABS plastic build throughout, reusable oiled filter in this case, and will not require the use of any custom or can tuning. Price point here for the 5-star rated option will live right around $400 give or take, and the system is backed by S&B's signature million-mile warranty. Now, as far as your major features to consider here with the S&B, well, two biggies do jump right out at me. First and foremost, guys, you are getting a sealed enclosure here, and one that's been designed and built very well. Now, these sealed enclosures are always going to get a big thumbs up from me, as they're really going to be your best bet at reducing higher intake air temperatures on your Raptor, especially when the truck is stationary on those warmer days. Now, those open element filters or exposed filters, whatever you want to call them, they certainly look good. They really do sound good when you're getting on the truck. However, because that filter is exposed and essentially open to the hotter engine bay air, they can be a little bit more susceptible to heat soak, and that does affect your performance at the end of the day. So again, if performance is number one here, guys, you live in a warmer climate, you want to really isolate that filter from that hot engine bay air or from the hotter ambient air, a sealed enclosure like this is certainly going to be the way to roll. Now, inside that sealed enclosure will be another feature here, guys, and that's S&B's signature oiled filter. Now, the general consensus here, or rule of thumb, if you want to call it that, is that oiled filters will flow a little bit better than a dry filter. However, dry filters will capture more particles at the end of the day. But regardless, really shouldn't be a huge concern because the difference is pretty minor overall. And in this case, both filters, whether you go with an oiled like this option or a dry, well, both of those filters are going to live in a sealed enclosure and be a bit more protected than against a open element style filter. Now, the only drawback I would say to an oiled filter such as this is there is a little bit more maintenance involved. Yes, they can be cleaned. Yes, they can be reused, but you do have to re-oil them at the end of the day. Not something you're gonna do a lot, probably once or twice in the lifespan of the filter itself, but that is worth pointing out. A little bit more maintenance, but this thing will last you essentially the life of your rig, and that's why S&B has absolutely no problems backing this system and that filter with their signature million-mile warranty. Rounding out our list of features here with the S&B, of course, we talk sealed enclosure and that really nice filter here from the gang at S&B, but obviously you're also installing this for not only appearance benefits, which there are some, you get a more modified look under the hood, but the biggie is power, right? Let's be honest, guys. Most truck owners are looking into something like this because they expect some level of horsepower and torque bump. And while we're not talking 20, 30 wheel here with something like this, I would say it's safe to assume gains of high single digit, low double digits, depending on your application. And keep in mind that is without the use of any custom or can tuning. This system does not require any tuning, so you can open the box, slap it on your rig, and you're good to go. Now, also guys, some other side benefits, not as common, but some owners do report back on saying maybe an improved throttle response feel here is present with the switch to an S&B, and even in some cases, improved fuel economy. But the reality is most owners really like to enjoy the performance benefits of something like this and therefore get a heavier right foot. And if that is the case, well, I wouldn't count on any improved fuel mileage. Moving into our construction portion of the video here, gang, and again, we talked at length about the quality of the airbox. Very, very nice system. Again, the molded airbox here in addition to your oiled filter, but one thing we didn't cover with the airbox is the clear plexi window that is enclosed here. And technically, guys, if you wanted to hear more intake noise with your truck, you could just simply pop this off. It's held in place by a little rubber gasket, and that would essentially allow you to hear some of that induction noise, maybe even a little bit more turbo noise. But then again, you are losing the benefits of that sealed enclosure, but just keep that in mind. And ultimately, this guy is in place here to allow you to keep an eye on the cleanliness of your filter over time. You're also looking at the roto-molded plastic intake tube here, guys. Really like these over a metal tube because, again, less susceptible to heat soak at the end of the day. And then rounding things out, obviously all of your couplers, clamps, all that good stuff, fittings, everything needed to get the system in place. I just want to remind you guys at home again, this does not require any tuning whatsoever, so there's no need for any additional parts. Simply open the box, slap it on, and you're good to go. Price point for the S&B system here with the oiled filter will live right around $400 give or take, which, believe it or not, is still one of the more affordable systems that do incorporate a sealed enclosure on the site, at least at the time of this video. Guys, if you shop some other options here at AT, you'll notice options from Roush, maybe AFE, and even the Whipple systems are all gonna be a bit more expensive at the end of the day. So again, if you really do value the importance and the benefits of a sealed enclosure, but prefer to stay a little bit more on the budget-friendly side compared to the competition, the S&B is really gonna be where it's at. But now we want to segue into the installation, and site's going to go middle of the road, 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter here, taking you about an hour to complete from start to finish. I always like to say intakes like this are kind of the gateway drug of modifications, simply because once you start modding and turning a few wrenches and you realize how easy something like this is, it only is going to give you confidence for your next modification down the road. But regardless, to give you a better idea of just how the S&B gets in place under the hood of that Raptor at home, we're actually going to throw you guys to an American Trucks customer now for a detailed walkthrough and tool breakdown.
Little overview on the tools here. I had a couple regular screwdrivers, a ratchet with the 11 and 13 millimeter socket, a small little wrench, and my little plastic rivet puller. That was all the tools I needed to do for this particular install. We're looking at my 23 Ford Raptor today. We're going to be installing an S&B cold air intake. This is the 3.5 liter engine, and as you can see, we've disconnected the battery, make sure we're not going to get anything crazy, and this is what it looks like before. So get ready, we're gonna get through this and see what it turns out like. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to pop off some of these pieces here. We get at the existing fuel housing, so we're going to loosen this up a little bit here. Get that loose. We're going to use this little tool here and to pop these little rivets off here. Okay, now that we've got these 2 clamps here on the back undone, I'm gonna go ahead and remove this piece here, and that'll allow us to kind of pull this off here. We can go ahead and put this aside for the time being. And we'll go ahead and take the air filter out of here. All right, so at this point, what we're gonna do is take this bolt here off, and that'll allow us to remove the lower harness here. But before we do that, we've got to take these 2 plastic rivets out for the air intake. So we're going to use our tool again. So as we're getting these plastic rivets out of here, we're able to get these things out, so we'll be able to use these later. That's done. So now we just have to get at this bolt. So we'll go ahead and use our ratchet here. It's out. Now we're going to take this box out. Boom. There we go. Comes out pretty smooth. And now we're ready to move on to the next step. We're gonna go, we're gonna go ahead and loosen up the other parts here. We're gonna remove this O-clamp here. All right, so get this thing loosened up here. And we're also going to remove this sensor here on the back of this cowling here. So the whole thing came off all at once. It's got this tape around the outside that we'll have to remove to actually just remove the actual wire harness there. So we're gonna put this aside for a second as we kind of work our way here with the tubing. And that's that. So now we can pull this piece and put it aside as well. Okay, we're gonna do a few other preps, but now we have our air sensor out of the car. We're gonna kind of put that aside for a second. We're gonna start working on all of the pre-assembly for the S&B air filter bends. So, I'm going to take our rubber seal here. Go ahead and put our clamp on it. Go ahead and install the rubber seal here. It's important to note too, because there's a peg here that needs to be facing downward. So now that we've got this installed here, we're going to go ahead and cinch this one down. One of the things we need to do as well for our bolt, put it back on the truck here, is we have to take the kind of the grommet out of the old air intake. I'm going to go ahead and do this by popping the metal bolt out and then removing the rubber there. Put that back down. We're going to go ahead and put the rubber seal back on the edge here. Make sure that it's kind of secured, and then we're going to pop that metal insert back in from the inside of the box. Other thing we're going to do here is we're going to attach our flange here for the air intake, and there are a number of different plastic rivets that are included with the kit. If you have any issues, those are readily available. So we're going to go ahead and put this on. There's a lower and upper piece to this that snaps into place. So as you can see, they're got kind of two parts there. These slide together in like that inside of these holes. Kind of straight, but take your time. You'll get there. Do the same here, kind of on the inside. You can hear that, the grooves kind of gliding into each other. I know you're on the right track. So we got that. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put this aside for the moment. We're gonna prep our other hose here. Larger hose piece there, smaller. So obviously the smaller end of the tube here. Make sure they're kind of fitted correctly. Then we're going to take our ring clamps, put them back on either section here. As we know, the orientation of this is going to sit inside the vehicle very similar to this. We're going to want to make sure our rings are kind of in a place where we can easily get access to it with the screwdriver. So I'm gonna do this one again. Make sure we have a little bit of tension on it so it doesn't slip off when we're moving it around. Okay. Got the other two larger rings. Again, positioning them in a place where we know we can get access to them. Our other ring in place. Give you a lot of slack on these rings. Alright, so we got those two pieces in. Now we have to deal with this. This is where the sensor comes back in. We gotta put the other little grommet that was supplied by S&B here. Put this thing back in. Make sure that's all secured. Now this is where we, from an install perspective, we have to remove the little blue compression ring here, because this ring that we just installed acts as that compression ring. So I'll go ahead and push this down inside of here, and there we are. So now that we've got our sensor back installed, we've got our two hose clamps here all installed, ready to go. I think we're ready to try to fit this thing back in the car. Okay, so first things first, we're gonna set the box back in here. We're gonna try to line up the bottom holes here with the bottom of the cold air intake box. Okay, that's where we're at right there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to my wrench and my bolt. I got to put this back together here. Alright, I had to put an extension on my ratchet to get actually back behind here. So, yeah, it's a little cumbersome in the space, but just take your time, it'll happen. Okay, screws back in. Box is secured. We're gonna go ahead and put these rivets back in to secure this. And I've actually opted to use the new rivets that they sent with the kit. And push those things in, just like that. Once they're secured, pop that center pin down, and you're good to go. So, next step is to put the additional tubing here for the cold air intake, so let's get after that. One of the things that we're going to do prior to putting this back in is we're actually going to kind of stage the filter inside of the box here. It'll make it easier for us to attach the filter to the tubing once it's in place here. So we're gonna go ahead and kind of move some of this stuff around here, get this thing positioned. So we have this thing in, but we haven't attached it yet to any of the other pipes. But what we're gonna do now is install the little bracket that actually is on the back side of the box here facing the firewall. And what this allows us to do is to take one of those wire harnesses that we took off before and reattach to that as a way to brace it. So what we're gonna do is get down in here and we're gonna install this bracket. Right here on the back side of this tube. I ratchet back here. I wrench here to hold the bolt in place. And I'm gonna just start screwing the thing down. I don't know if you can get inside of here or not. Now that that's installed, we're going to go ahead and reattach our sensor, because I had to pull this thing out to get the actual tube inside the air box. So we're going to let this cable kind of sit here for a second so we know where it's at. And we're going to go ahead and move around here so we can get access to our tubing here. I'm going to go ahead and get those seated. Should have plenty of room to get the pipes in. We feel like we're both secure down here. And secured here. We're gonna go ahead and I want to get that back down there. We have this secured here and this secured here. So now we feel confident that we can ratchet down our brackets here. Go ahead and take a larger screwdriver and make sure that that really gets done. Going ahead and getting the final clamps here sorted out. Want to make sure these are probably pretty tight. Now it's time for us to put the filter on. Go ahead and loosen this up a little bit. The filter should be sliding on here. There we are. Okay. Now we come back in, tighten this thing down. Might actually be worth using a driver here instead of a screwdriver, but it is what it is. Just getting this tightened down. I think we're good to go there. We're gonna go ahead now on the back side of this we're gonna take our cabling here and we're gonna reattach it to our sensor. Just like that. Okay, so just to recap, we have our intake tube, intake filter box, all the intake here is secured down. We have our filter in place secured. We have our air sensor here on the back. And we've got kind of our line here to the sensor kind of all dialed in on the thing here. So I'm gonna go ahead and rewrap this thing. So after securing everything inside the truck, oddly enough, I didn't have to use the extender like in some of the videos you see. But everything is secured in here. Everything is tight. I think we're ready for the final piece, which is the kind of the plexiglass housing here. So we're gonna take care of that right here. And we continue to peel back this. You can see a nice little S&B logo there. That away. Now we just have to basically fit this inside the housing. So we're gonna go ahead and take care of that. Slips in just like that. Good to go. Now what we'll do is we'll take it up here and kind of snap into place. And there we go. That's it. So that's the S&B cold air intake for Ford Raptor 23 3.5 liter engine. We'll go ahead and put the battery back on. This toolkit here. Remember to remove the negative lead on the battery so as not to trip anything up when you connect everything. And we're gonna go ahead and screw this back down. All right, so here's the after. Looks pretty good.
Wrapping this one up here, gang. Again, if you are looking for one of the highest rated cold air intakes available on the site for your EcoBoost powered Raptor at home, all at a very attractive price point, well then you have to consider the S&B oiled option for your rig, available here at AmericanTrucks.com.